Hello everybody. Today we're looking at the options that you have available to you in different gauges that you have. So what we're going to do is I'm going to talk you through this right away. Actually, specifically, we're going to talk about binding, this particular option right up here. And when you click on it, the progress bindings. Not to be confused with project binding. If you've ever thought you may have heard somebody mention that particular phrase. But this is project binding. But what we're going to do real quick is I'm just going to show you what I did here for those of you who need the quick hit. And then I'll go through and I'll rebuild this page and show you exactly how I did it. So you grab any one of these project bars here. If we take a look at it, let's take a look at the full project. This is done in Domino Flow, by the way. This is page 1. I've just added a new page into this existing project that I'm working on. You'll notice we have this progress bar here that is a gauge that was added, and then we also dropped in a thermometer. But we used the binding to connect both of those to one variable that we called test variable or test var. And we've got a text field here just to show us that in fact the variable is increasing, and we added a trigger to this particular button with an action that increments test var by 1 every single time you click it. So we'll click it once, it says 1, and then 2, and then holy smokes, I can't believe that our one gauge is now not working. So we get to go through and do a video of troubleshooting. But you'll notice that the thermometer gauge is working just fine. Let's take a look and see what possibly could have gone wrong. Did I actually change this one? Which I probably did when I was messing around with it after I got it fixed. I think I switched it over to a progress binding. Yeah, it's no longer being bound to the test variable if you look at the bottom down here. So I'm going to reconnect that variable. I'm going to reset this to 10. Oops, because I don't want it to go all the way to 100. And now it should work just fine. Let's just do a quick double check here, do a full course preview, and make sure that when I click this, it's still working. Well, no, it's not. So let's do another double check and see what in the heck I did wrong. Options, binding. Test variable. I'm not exactly sure why that should not working. Because we know this one is working. 10 test variables, same thing. Full project preview. There we go. So you'll notice that every time I click this, it's incrementing by 1, and it is, and then the gauge is responding accordingly. So basically what we're doing is we're taking one of these gauges. They are specifically made to function based off of variables or different system variables. If you want to track the progress of your user, that of course is what you see right here. Every time I click on this, you can automatically bind it to the learner's progress in your project, or you can bind it to the project score that is a system variable that gets tracked, or you can create your own custom variable, which is what I did. So now that that's all been worked out, let's go ahead and rebuild this page from scratch. So we will come over here. Let's go ahead and add a new page. I like working with blank pages, so I'm just going to add a new one. And let's go ahead and just add these elements that we need. So first off, what should we do? We should insert, let's get that button in at the top. Then let's add some rich text. Then let's insert our gauges. Let's grab this first one, put it in here. And then we will grab the second gauge and put it into this empty placeholder. Now we have all of our elements on the screen. So a couple things you'll learn here is how to add a variable into a text field. If we double click inside of the rich text field, click the three-dot selection menu here, drop all the way to the bottom to variables, and find custom variables and grab the variable that you are looking for. In our case, it's test variable. So now we'll be able to see that variable as it increments, which is useful in testing. You can always, at the end, once you get everything working, you can delete that rich text field and go through that. So now we're going to add a trigger and an action to this button that increments that variable. And so we'll go up here to interact and triggers, or let's pause that for a second and go to the lightning bolt button. And it already defaults to when I am clicked because it's a button. So we select more. We select functions and variables, set variable, click next. Then we select the test variable. This is what we're working on. And then what we want to do is do a plus equals. The plus equals is the code way of saying just increment this particular variable by a number. We're going to choose 1, but you could increment it by any number at all. Increment it by 10, increment it by 4, 1,000, whatever you want. So we know that we need to apply this. Don't forget to always click the apply and done on the right side of the screen, or else you will run into some problems. And now what we need to do is we've got this button set up to function to increment the test var by 1, and we'll see it here in this text field. Now what we need to do is bind or connect that variable to these different gauges that already have all the code and everything built into them for them to function the way they do. So we go up and we grab options for those, and then we click binding, we select custom, and now we go into the very bottom of this list is going to be the custom project variables. So here's the one we created, test var, drop it in there. We want to see the lines jump a little bit more easily. Oops, there we go. So we're only going to have it max out at 10. If we did 100, you would still see the bars move, but we would have to click it an awful lot to get it to, to see the bar actually progressing. So we're going to click OK on that. Now we'll click the thermometer, and we will bind the thermometer to the same variable. We're not going to use 50. We'll use test variable. There we go. Drop it to 10. We'll click OK. And we'll do a quick preview, see if this is working. Page 1, page 2. Here's our test page. So as we click on our variable, we click it once, it goes up 1 notch. Click it again, it goes up to 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, 7, and so on. That is our progress binding to a custom gauge component.